Today, I like to present how to play with black against the so-called English attack setup. In the English attack setup, let's say you play b5 with black, white will play the following. Start with bishop e3, follow with f3, queen d2, long castle, and g4. Let me just show you a few moves. The player with white will play this move. Let's say if we play bishop e7, g4, queen c7, castle, and then if you were to castle, they attack like that, and h4, and maybe rook g1, and like that. So they play that automatically. So today, this is how you should face that aggressive system with black. Bishop e3, bishop b7, f3, knight f6, queen d2, queen c7. So the b5 pawn, that's very important because you may attack later on. That knight belongs on f6, that bishop belongs here, doesn't belong on this diagonal. So that's pretty much a position that you will face, and on the bottom left, I put that in this video with the blue chessboard as a reference for you. So now let's say the most aggressive move here that you could face is g4 directly without even castling. So here what I recommend is h6 to prevent going back to g5. If white insists doing h4, here you have two moves. You can play b4 followed by knight c6, or you can even play bishop b4 and pinning that knight. And that is very strong. If I were to show you the next move, you play d5 and you have a very annoying pin and threatening like that to win. On a3, you simply retreat the bishop and then you're gonna take on e4. And when you take back, this one is very weak. So you have a better position here. Now, on h6, the best move is long castle. Then white will try to continue to attack. So here, what is the right move? You attack b4, attack the knight on c3, and the knight has two options. If he goes on e2, you play e5, that's very important, and when the knight moves aggressively over here, d5, you really blast the center. And this will be the continuation like that. If you play like that, you are much better, threatening to take over here, and you have a better position. So, the other thing that you should know in this variation, when we were discussing e5, if the knight retreat on b3, you still play d5 and you open up, and you're gonna be able to take like that. So we can see going back over here on long castle, b4 is the move. So now on b4, knight ce2 wasn't that great. A better try for white is to play knight a4. And here this is very important. You want to play the move d5 in the center. On this move, be careful, because if you play e5 like in the variation, knight b3, d5, you have this annoying fork. And in this case, you would be not doing so well. So knight a4 here, d5, and you blast open the center. Let's see, white closes the center, you go back, knight c6, attacking the knight on d4, and on knight b3, you play the move d4. And the idea is like if white take, you take, but then you pick up the rook over here. So black is threatening to win, white retreats, and now you do this move, and next you picking up the rook on h1. So clearly, this is very dangerous to retreat the knight, but if you don't and you were to exchange, now you have a problem over here. On b3, you do d4, and again, you're picking up the rook over here. So to sum up, all these variation. On castle, you play b4. If the knight go back on e2, you play e5 first, and then d5. And if the knight were to go on a4, you blast the center with d5. So this is a very effective system, but now I like to show you one more variation. We're going back over here, and I mentioned here that was the position at the bottom left. We mentioned g4. But of course, black has to face the move castle. Here you simply develop a piece, and now on g4, you once again play that move b4, and on a4, you play d5. And on g5, let's say, you retreat the knight, and then white has to deal with that threat, bishop c6 attacking here. So b3 is very standard move here. You take, and play knight e5. You have a very good position. And over here, you exchange pieces. Rook d8, threatening on d4, threatening here. You can take over here. You also have this diagonal. So black has the better play over here. So we almost done with the variation. Going back to the key position, we just looked at g4 and we just looked at castle. Now there's one last variation you need to know, is a variation with a3. So why is a3 important? Because if you don't play a3, at some point you're gonna have b4, knight moves, and then you have this strong push over here. So a3, a lot of players will play that. It also prevents bishop b4. But now you still have a lot of play. Number one, at some point you could push b4 yourself. Number two, you can blast the center open with d5. Now, if white were to castle, then you go b4, and you have a dream position. Look at this. A lot of pressure over here. 97, rook c8. Black is attacking first. And if on d5, white doesn't castle and play e takes, then simply you take back, and you take back with a bishop. The reason is, if white were to take, you take over here, and you have a very nice knight in the center of the board. So typically here, white may try, let's say, bishop f4, then you move the queen, and you're good to go. So I think that wraps up this video. We saw the g4, long castle, a3 moves, and with this knight f6, queen c7, bishop b7, you're ready to do pawn breaks, and you don't develop your bishop and king. If you notice in a lot of these variations, you wait, the mistake would be, let's say, to do this move, then you do castle, then white attacks like that. And that's very easy to play, and you can have a very strong attack, and you're late to counter attack. So therefore, in the system I recommend, you go d5, b4, knight c6, and you wait until you move your king away from the center. So that is the way to fight against the English attack. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.